murderers. I mean, so many times these are false narratives, don't you think, that are brought in, whether it been, and we don't have to go through the list, but whether it was Ferguson or these other examples where there were people challenging the police, they're trying to, box the police in where they can't even do what they're supposed to do. And he is just completely taking advantage of the situation. Let's go to line 7. Sal is listening on WFTL. Sal, you're up on the Savage Nation. Hello, Sal.
I mean, I can't even listen to that dribble from those kids. I tried to watch it on the internet. And I turned it off. It was making me sick. But I want to take issue with the use of the term racism, which has become pretty much a weapon of choice of many special interest groups in this country. And of course, no one wants to be called a racist or thought a racist. But I want to argue that the term can't even be used by the so-called Latinos or Hispanics for possible discrimination. Because the most important unifying thread that ties them all together is not a common race, but a common language, which is
right.
Spanish.
Yes.
In my life, I've had a lot of Hispanic or Latino friends. Light skin, dark skin, medium skin, blonde hair, blue eye. I had a redheaded Hispanic girlfriend. So how can that term even be indicative of an entire race of people? When they
I want everyone to listen. Sal is making a very good point. But Sal, as we know, that term is used to try to label someone, to try to silence someone, and make us back off on talking about illegal immigration, right? I mean, that's what it's all about. Now, coming up, we're going to play for you some of this video that Sal's talking about, plus more on Tarantino. A lot more to go. 1-855-400-SAVAGE. This is John DePietro sitting in for Dr. Michael Savage. You're listening to the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now. 855-400-SAVAGE. 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com.
You're listening to the Savage Nation. This is John DePietro sitting in for Dr. Michael Savage. Remember, you can call in 1-855-400-SAVAGE or visit our website, michaelsavage.com. Student who stabbed 4 on California University campus identified. Boy, I didn't see this one coming. The student who stabbed 4 people on the campus of UC Merced was identified. 18-year-old Fasil Muhammad from Santa Clara, California. University confirms to Fox News. He had a smile on his face. He was having fun. A construction worker who helped stop the attack told CBS 47. Campus police shot and killed Muhammad, a freshman computer science engineering major, after yesterday's attack. Police detonated his backpack, testing a substance inside. 4 victims are expected to survive. Authorities are investigating a motive. They say Muhammad was armed with a hunting knife. Its blade 8 to 10 inches long. Construction worker ran into the classroom, stopped the attack. Said he initially thought it was a fight. Byron Price, 31. He's the hero, remodeling a waiting room. Heard a commotion, rushed to check on it. Really big knife, swinging it down. That guy is a hero. Think of what that could have turned into. So you have ISIS trying to recruit people, and suddenly we have a freshman student. Boy, roommates, he really spoke, kept to himself. Seems to be a pattern here. An ISIS-linked Twitter account praised the attack, and it was the worst stabbing at a U.S. college since 2013. Folks, this is what myself, Dr. Savage, other people have talked about. We are under attack. And yet all these people want to continue to try to make us even more unsafe. Let's go to line 7. Paul is listening on WMAL in Washington. Paul, you're up on the Savage Nation. Hello.
Yes, how you doing? Let me say, I'm addressing the police situation. My girlfriend is a police officer. Let me say this. I am for police officers, straight officers. I am anti-corrupt police officers. And whenever I hear people saying that you're anti-police just because you're against police corruption. That just burns me up. I'm 53 years old. I have a problem with the National Fraternal Order of Police. And now what's being shown is how officers have routinely just murdered people of color and gotten away with it.
That is totally wrong. You can't name one instance. That is completely wrong, what you just said.
I'm completely wrong about what?
What do you mean that they're completely murdering people and getting away with it? Name one instance.
Well, okay, well, what about the situation we just had where the officer choked the black man to death and the other officer stood around and watched?
They were trying to restrain him. They had told him to comply with them. He was screaming at them. That was a legal maneuver by the officer. And on top of that guy was out of shape and then, unfortunately, had a heart attack and died. They didn't just blatantly murder him. And are you kidding, Paul? Those cops on Staten Island, their lives have been turned upside down. What do you think they just go away unscathed? I mean, forget about it. They even had to almost go in hiding. That wasn't purposely murdering the guy. These things happen. They're out on the street. It's not easy being a police officer. Now that's a false narrative. Completely wrong. Murdering people. Paul, is that the case you're talking about?
No, sir, Wisconsin. Shot. No gun, no weapon, handcuffed. Officer said he had a gun and shot him. A month later, Governor Scott Walker passed legislation about police, the way they were supposed to handle arrests. Okay? And this is the problem I have. Now, I'm for police straight officers.
No, you said that, but you're confusing police corruption with, listen, they encounter violence on the street. 1-855-400-SAVAGE. Coming up, we're going to play for you some of that video of the kids. Just keep it right here. John DePietro sitting in for Dr. Savage on the Savage Nation. You're listening to the Savage Nation. This is John DePietro sitting in for Dr. Michael Savage, inviting you to call into the program 1-855-400-SAVAGE. Our website, michaelsavage.com, for the latest news and headlines, and also at michaelsavage.com, your chance to purchase Government Zero. It has stormed onto the scene, shot up already, number 3 on the New York Times bestseller list. It is a great read. Government Zero by Dr. Michael Savage, available at michaelsavage.com. Also, some of the headlines on the Drudge Report. The top, of course, is the video that we're going to play a portion of coming up. Potty mouth kids trash Trump. This is from an organization called Deport Racism. And there it is. It's really despicable. A young child now. There's 2 young children in this. And they have the little boy. And he's doing the table for one salute. Deport this. It's absolutely disgraceful. Some of the other headlines on Drudge Report. Jeb guarantees New Hampshire victory as poll numbers fall. Crickets for Carly. Awkward silence during event question time. And then, of course, then we have that situation out as we're learning more about the brutal attack yesterday. Fasil Muhammad, 18 years old, had a smile on his face as he stabbed 4 people at a University of California campus. He was shot and killed by campus police officers who responded to the school after hearing about the attack. Now we're learning there was an ISIS-linked Twitter account that praised the attack. Muhammad's roommates say he really spoke, kept to himself. He had a knife on him, 8 to 10 inches long. 8 to 10 inches long. Let's go out to some of your phone calls. Line 8 is Don listening on KKOH. Don, you're up on the Savage Nation.
I'd like to mention the fact that this guy, this Muhammad that just did the stabbing, remember Roseburg, Oregon, when the guy shot everybody and asked them if they were Christian?
That's right.
He had on his website or on his Twitter accounts and all that, he had all kinds of jihad stuff. But they've hushed it up and nobody's talking about it.
Why is that, though, Don? How come no one's talking about that? How come then that just fades and no one will highlight the fact of who was behind that attack and then now this latest stabbing?
Well, what happens, Obama threatens everybody because that's what he did. He went there and talked, and there hasn't been one peep about anything about that since then. And he does like he does the generals. He tells them if they don't say what exactly the program is, they deviate from it, he'll have them, have their careers and their pension and all that. So, yeah, that's what I think's happening.
Thank you for the call, Don. On top of that, just the brazenness. Now, this is the video that I mentioned to you. It was just released yesterday. It's from an organization called Deport Racism. This is aimed at you. These are 2 Latino children now, taught by adults. We're going to have to beep out some of the language. It's basically, blank you, if you don't like us coming here, we're going to be here. There's even more illegals on the way. Folks, I mean, this is, I don't know how you describe it as anything other than just a complete, full-scale invasion. Let's hear some of this video. Now, it's mainly aimed at Trump, but if you agree with Trump, it's aimed at you as well.
Hola, Donald Trump. Screaming, get out of my country. Republicans use offensive words.
So here's a few of our own.
F*** you, racist.
We're Latino kids born in the USA.
And we've got something to say.
I'm Rosa.
I'm Ricardo. My friends call me Rick. But you keep calling me Anchor, baby?
Wow. Racist. When you say Mexican immigrant,
are rapists, murderers, and drug dealers?
You know it's racist codes for words like
and
you have attacked people
for speaking Mexican in this nation.
All right, that is just a complete disgrace. But also notice what's going on. I mean, right now, latest headline, more than 81,000 unaccompanied minors have been released to sponsors inside the U.S. Border Patrol apprehended more than 68,000 unaccompanied minors attempting to illegal enter the U.S. just last year. Folks, notice what's happening. You have an attack on the police, and we're being invaded more and more. Now, Quentin Tarantino doubled down on his criticism last night. Over the weekend, at a rally, an anti-police rally, he called New York City police officers murderers, really all police. Here's Quentin Tarantino, failed filmmaker, on MSNBC last night.
Now, in the case of Walter Scott, who was the man running in the park and was shot in the back, in the case of Sam DuBose, I believe those were murder, and they were deemed murder. And the reason, and the only reason they were deemed murder is because the incidences were caught on video. However, if they had not been caught on video, the murderers would have gotten away with their murder.
Listen to, do you see they teach the kids, blank you the Americans, we're coming in, you may not like it, completely disrespectful. I mean, should we be surprised since the parents are teaching them that, since the parents are also teaching them to break the law and come in here? But then don't you, look at then, we also now have an attack on law enforcement in the way that they're trying to portray, completely redo the image of police. Let's go to line 5. Bob is listening on WABC New York. Bob, you're up. This is John DePietro, and you're on the Savage Nation. Hello, Bob.
Hi, how you doing, John? Thank you.
Good, Bob.
On. I just wanted to make an observation, and it's very typical of the type of, I guess you'd say, the ilk of Quentin Tarantino, when they make inflammatory statements and they stir things up. And, of course, like you had said before, he has very violent movies. And then he turns around and he hides behind the First Amendment when people who I guess you could call them his opposition voice their opinions. As a champion of First Amendment rights, he should actually be embracing the people who are condemning him because he hides behind the First Amendment as his right very well.
Well, last night he was slamming Patrick Lynch, head of the police union in New York. He was slamming him on MSNBC. Bob, I mean, did you ever think you would see, look at the scenario, Bob, the narrative that's going on. We're under attack, invasion, Mohammed's is stabbing people on the West Coast. And then in New York, everybody suddenly is putting the police on the defensive, and the police that are there to protect us from the invasion, they're suddenly under attack, and they're the ones that are under the gun, Bob.
I don't remember the movie, but somebody said up is down and down is up, was a line in the movie, and that's exactly what seems to be happening in way too many places in the United States. And
You're
it's like politicians are embracing, well, I shouldn't say all politicians,